Welcome back, Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic / Non-Classic. This is episode number 406, and it's a single shot. Okay, one book. Nightwing, Volume 1, Better Than Batman, written by Tim Seeley with artwork by Javier Ferreras and Yannick Pagrout. I think that's how you pronounce the person's name. Yeah. Also, I gotta show this off here. Nightwing created by Mark Wolf and George Perez. That credit is only there because they're the ones who gave him this name. Not because they created Dick Grayson. The character Dick Grayson is created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. But they are the ones who give him his name. Now, one thing I should talk about before I talk about the story is to talk about the costume. Now, this is actually the first time that Nightwing has put on the red and blue, basically the blue and black. First time since 2009. Because what has he been doing for the past 7 years? Well, he spent 2 years being Batman. Excuse me. 3 years wearing a red and black costume, which was armor-like and had the unnecessary lines. Jim Lee loved the unnecessary lines. And of course, spending 2 years as a Spire agent, which some of the stuff is referenced in here. It's a nice little redesign. Let me show you what the. This is how he was basically depicting the costume. It's actually a really good looking costume. I mean, the top of the costume itself, the upper part of the costume, it's very heavily inspired by the third Nightwing costume. Yeah. If you want to take a hit count of how many costumes Dick Grayson has worn as Nightwing, this is his 5th costume. The original was designed by George Perez in the awesome Judas Contract storyline they released in the 1980s. The second Nightwing costume he started wearing during the Total Chaos storyline, which was given to him by a woman he was, well, thinking was Starfire, but actually was a woman called Mirage, who shapeshifted into Starfire, basically having sex with Nightwing under false pretenses. Basically, in the way, one of the 2 times Nightwing had been raped. The third costume, that is one of the most recognizable costumes, which this costume is very loosely inspired by. That costume he wore for 13 years. He first started wearing it at the start of the Chuck Dixon ongoing series, and stopped wearing it fully. There was a couple times he did briefly stop wearing it, like after issue 100 when he became a gangster. It was a couple of very brief times he did briefly stop wearing it, but officially when he was Nightwing, he wore this costume from 1996 to 2009, and then put on the Nightwing costume until 2 years later when he put on the red costume, which, by the way, the mask has always been blue. That's one thing unique about Nightwing, is that his mask has been blue for years. That's one thing I should say completely unique about him. His color of his mask has never changed. It has pretty much been the same mask he has worn since 1984, I believe, was the Judas Contract came out. I think so. Yeah. Though for some reason, somebody thought New 52 thinking, okay, I mean, I get the fact, yeah, they took out the blue and replaced it with red, but they colored his mask black for some reason and made the white stuff, the white stuff which covered up his eyes, they made those red for some reason. Oh yeah, and the mask was technology. I have no idea why they thought that was a good idea, but I enjoyed the Kyle Higgins run when it was coming up. This actually is basically sort of a semi-continuation of basically what Tim Seeley started with the character back in 2014. Currently, as of right now, Tim Seeley has written the character for 3 years. Though it's simply put a different thing. Though, here's something unique though. In the Rebirth issue, which by the way this trade collects Nightwing Rebirth number 1 and Nightwing Volume 4 issues 1 through 4 and 7 through 8. In the Rebirth one-shot, they finally follow up with the whole thing of the Court of Owls. It only took them 5 months to do this. Yeah, after the Robin War storyline, at the end of it says, to be continued in the pages of Grayson. Which, by the way, never happened. Because The book Grayson was focusing on storyline taking down Spiral. No, seriously, that's what they spent the last few issues doing. Excuse me. And the first story arc actually continues that plot thread, basically taking on the Parliament of Owls. Yeah, simply put, the first arc is basically a plot thread that they should have done in Grayson, but never did. Either one thing, Tim Seeley was trying to save this for this, or he didn't want to do anything with it. Though it does tie up it basically the first in the Rebirth one shot. It does get rid of one loose end from Scott Snyder's run. Lincoln March, the guy who was claiming to be Bruce Wayne's brother. Yeah, he gets killed by the new character who appears in here, the character Raptor. He gets killed right in the Rebirth issue. My guess is Tim Seeley, the reason why he decided to have him die, this is just my personal theory, is because there was no other plans for him. We had this character just roaming around wearing this stupid looking Talon costume, which, by the way, I should point out the costume itself, it was designed by, what was his name? Oh yeah, Greg Capullo designed this costume. Yeah, this is this Talon costume. Look at this costume. It looks so... It doesn't look like a traditional Talon costume. Yeah, and the way he's killed is so bizarre. I mean, Talons are supposed to be undead zombies who sort of kept alive basically through some special like Lazarus stuff. That's how Scott Snyder put it. But he's killed with a tiny dart to the eye. That is how he's killed. And I'm thinking, this character at the time of his death, he had only been around in the continuity for 5 years. And I guess Tim Seeley didn't want anything to do with the character, so maybe he asked Scott Snyder's permission, like, hey, can I kill this character off because you're not planning on using him? He's probably like, sure, why not? And of course, also, they get rid of the Parliament and the Owls in the very same storyline. Also, in the Rebirth one-shot for Nightwing, it sets up Birds of Prey Rebirth. Yeah, it sets up the Birds of Prey comic book, which is currently going on right now. Because, well, Helen Burton becomes Huntress. Yeah, that continues in the Birds of Prey stuff. Yeah, and also Cobra shows up in here. I don't think they showed up in Grayson. No, so this is actually the first post-Flashpoint appearances. Top of my head, this is their first post-Flashpoint appearance. Though for some reason I have no idea why they thought this was a good idea to do. One of the Cobra members, when I saw him, I'm like, he looks a lot like Copperhead. Now, when you look at this costume, it looks like he's Copperhead. I'm thinking, this can't be Copperhead, because Copperhead was killed by Deathstroke in Forever Evil. So yeah, it's not him. It's just an Age of Cobra. Let's see. What else should I talk about here? Yeah. I should also say this I thought was really weird for the one shot to do, the Rebirth issue. You have Agent Grayson fighting the Madmen, which I'm like, okay, I don't know why he's fighting a group of characters who are Ted Core villains. Yeah, these characters are creations of Steve Ditko. Yeah. And plus also, Damian shows up a lot in these issues, so yeah. We also have a guest appearance by the Midnighter. One of his 2 appearances he made throughout the entirety of Rebirth. The only appearance this guy makes is in the Midnighter Apollo series by Steve Orlando. Yeah. And the arc is just basically trying to take down the Parliament Owls. Also, the Parliament stopped wearing the classic white mask that Greg Capullo designed for them when they first appeared in Batman Volume Number 1, and they switched over to black mask. No, seriously, it looks like the mask that it's the same design, they changed the color. That's really all they did with it. And of course, Barbara Gordon, a Batgirl, shows up in here. This is Raptor. Yep. And he's basically a supporting player in the first 4 issues in here. and then the Rise of Raptor story makes him basically turns into a villain because he's a very suspicious character. Nightwing doesn't immediately trust him. Yeah. Also, I noticed this just now. Nightwing's mask is tiny. Yeah, look how small this mask is. I'm like, wow. Either one, he's squinting or whatever, but yeah. I thought Raptor was a pretty cool character. I love the fact Tim Silly developed this character over the course of the 6 issues in here. Though, some of you are probably wondering, where is issues 5 and 6? There's a very good explanation for that. This whole Raptor story that was interrupted for 2 issues just to be tied into Monster Men. Which, by the way, the 2 issues in here don't even bring it up at all. It's like that those 2 are just an interruption, and then the Rise of Raptor, which is the follow-up, which is just the continuation of the first arc, because well, it was interrupted by Night of the Monsterman. It continues like it was perfectly fine, and of course, at the end of the 2-part Rise of Raptor, he is captured and sent to jail. And then Christopher Priest brought him back. Then had Christopher Priest in Christopher Priest's Deathstroke book has Deathstroke break the character out of jail and spray paint Deathstroke's costume, put this strange looking bird on his suit, and then of course he's never seen again. But I really did think personally, Raptor as far as I can tell, was actually one of the very few original characters they actually introduced for the whole Rebirth stuff, which great character. I love the fact Christopher Priest brought him back right after the story wrapped up. And let's see what else. And yeah, it's also revealed that he apparently has a connection to Haley Circus. Yeah, that's brought up in here, though Haley Circus does not make an appearance in here for some reason. Also, it's never brought up if now at the start of the previous Nightwing, the one started in 2011, Nightwing inherited Haley Circus from Mr. Haley. And in here, it's never brought up if he's still owning it, despite his apparent death. It's never brought up. I mean, Haley Circus is referenced like a couple times in here, but does the circus itself make an appearance? Nope, it does not make an appearance at all. Of course, after this arc, goes back to Bloodhaven anyways. When I heard he was going back to Bloodhaven, I was personally very happy. As someone who actually read the Chuck Dixon and the second volume from Nightwing, it took me a while to finally finish. I didn't finally finish reading Nightwing Volume 2 until about 2 years ago. Yeah, that's when I finally put Nightwing Volume 2 behind me. Yeah, it took me a while, but I finally got it done. But for this volume, this is actually really good. Tim Seeley does a great job with Dick Grayson, and I love the fact he brought it back to Bloodhaven. And Bloodhaven is completely different. I will probably get a chance to talk about it when I get a chance to get my hands on the second volume, Back to Bloodhaven, which continues, I think it's 9 through 13, I believe it is. I have to look it up, basically, what the second volume just contained, but I'm hoping to get my hands on that particular volume. But this is really good. Also, this arc, the first four issues here loosely connects to the Batgirl issues, because it was referenced that she had to take a quick flight over here, like a red eye, because Nightwing was apparently in trouble. Yeah, and because what happened in these 4 issues, she apparently hates Dick Grayson for some reason. Yeah, oh yeah, because he stood her up on a date. That's mainly the reason why. I like the fact that Tim Seeley included her in here. My only personal theory is the reason why he did that was because in the previous volume she actually appeared for a few issues. She actually appeared in issue 3 of Nightwing. Yeah, she made a guest star appearance in the opening arc of the series. So I guess Tim Seeley thought, okay, since she made a guest star appearance in the first arc of the previous volume of the series, I guess he figured though he was probably he probably just wanted to do it. That's my personal guess. But if you look at these issues by themselves without having to deal with Monsterman, I think he just did these issues just to get off the ground. He probably did want to take the character back to Bloodhaven, probably because he liked those issues. despite the fact when those issues came out, he probably was just barely starting his career, though Tim Seeley is known for doing the Hack Slash series. But him doing Nightwing, basically, he did a great job with it, despite the fact he's not the spy expert. That's Tom King who does that, who does Batman. This book is just purely amazing. The book itself is 21 issues in, and I'm hoping to get more trades soon of Nightwing. I'm going to give this book a 9 out of 10. It is a great book. I highly recommend, especially people who are fans of Dick Grayson. Yep, that's all I want to say about it. Okay. Alright, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for episode 407. I don't know if it's going to be a double shot or triple shot yet. You'll find out when I come up with the episode, okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.